But yeah, so I will say I have to admit, when VHS Halloween was announced, I was like, do we really need another Halloween anthology? Like we already have so many good ones, but I think after having seen the film, it does a great job of being different. So what do you guys hope that people get out of this anthology that they might not have gotten out of other ones?
I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We wanted to have it to be justified because there's so many Halloween, especially anthologies. It's just such an easy thing to, latch onto for the interest in the season. And your hope is that it becomes one of the ones that's in permanent rotation. Like, every Halloween we want people to watch Trick or Treat, then want people to watch VHS Halloween and whatever the new VHS is. That is our hope that this becomes a part of Halloween culture because we are like Halloween maniacs.
Yeah, we just really wanted to do something that we hadn't also seen before. So for us, we wanted to capture something that was about like family, community, and also Halloween. And tonally something people could really have fun with because I think like with this segment, every director brought something completely different and
Yeah.
unique. And I think that's what makes it interesting. So what's really cool also is just the complete and utter freedom we had to do what we wanted to do, which is really cool. You can't normally do that with like a feature film, but with like an anthology, you get a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that like with these anthology films, one of the biggest challenges would be, having this story that's satisfying and self-contained in its own right, but also fits within the scheme of all of these other films. So how do you kind of balance that?
In blind ignorance of what everyone else is working
Yeah,
on.
we
Like,
didn't know what anybody else was really doing. Especially so many of the segments were shot like internationally or in other states. We didn't get to see what other people were doing. We got to see some of Anna's stuff, some of Casper's stuff, but really
because
didn't.
they shot in LA, so we got to
Yeah,
visit the sets and do all that.
there wasn't a full understanding of like tone and style and how different we're going to be. I think that that was up to the producers selecting very specific voices, very specific filmmakers because they wanted that kind of diversity with the VHS.
Yeah, I think we wanted to, and there's a lot of credit goes to Shudder for how they curated all the different segments because really they're like the kind of the authorial voice there, right? And they did a really great job. And for our position, it was kind of like, okay, how can we make something that is just iconic Halloween? Like, how can
Yeah.
we do something that draws everything from our childhood? And one of the most important things for me, and I know you're from the same hometown as I am,
Yeah.
is that I wanted to pay tribute to Dr. Paul Bearer, and that was really important. So the main character Keith plays like an alter ego that's based upon our hometown horror host, who was really important
Yeah.
to me. So the whole community thing and just really getting into the holiday spirit of what it means on a neighborhood level for Halloween, that's kind of what was important for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned this, the home haunts type thing. I think it's such like a ripe setting for horror, and it's really not something that there's been a lot of. There's been a couple, like even like industrial haunts, like you think like
Yeah. There's
there's been
definitely
like a
big stuff, as
few
you
movies like
said.
that, but not too many even. Why do you think this is that there's not
Um,
been many?
I think that it's just way more accessible for people to go off of like the extreme haunts and make those scary.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to go that direction, which several filmmakers have because it's already inherently unsettling. I think it's a bigger challenge to take something that's kind of like fun and endearing and like nostalgic and making that scary. That is a bigger challenge. And I think that it also takes a lot more creativity to create an entire world and all these monsters. It's not just a guy in a mask with a knife. You know what I mean? Like it's something different.
And that's why we've also built it around the family dynamic. We really wanted to do the story of a family start from this kind of like family fun thing, nostalgia that becomes a burden for the kid as, kids outgrow everything and it becomes too lame and they pay a social cost for, participating in these things. We wanted that home haunt thing to really be about the home.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what's important to me because like you could have a like she's saying like McCamey Manor or one of these kind of like dark
Yeah.
grisly things, and that wasn't interesting to us. We wanted to see Americana attack, average Americans.
Like something that would have transcended from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like and things that I think are still happening in backyards today. And I think that that's what's kind of special about it is that it's multi-generational and it goes through many decades as far as something it being like American tradition for Halloween.
You know. And
Yeah.
it's also interesting because I think we're going to talk to them later, but there was a reviewer from Orlando who didn't know that I'm from that area. And he was talking about how, oh, people from Florida would totally understand the home haunt thing because that's like very specific to Florida. Like, you remember like where we grew up, they're just everywhere. There's like
Yeah.
in Plant City, they're doing now, all of our neighbors would do it. And apparently Florida had a specific emphasis on home haunts, especially like in Central Florida, that isn't the case in every state. And it was
Mhm.
just funny because somebody who didn't know that I was a Floridian who did it had caught on to that.
Somehow
That's
they can't tell he's from Florida.
Yeah, somehow.
well, you mentioned how obviously like family and emotion is the core of this, and going back to this being a short film, it's very hard to like build these characters out and flesh them out in 20-ish minutes.
Mhm.
So
Actually,
how do
like
you
not under 18 minutes.
under
Really
18 minutes?
shortest
Yeah.
segment.
Yeah.
It's like it's a pretty short segment, but I think you guys do a great job of giving us these characters that we care about and creates these stakes of like we want them to live or not.
Right.
But how do you kind of
There's four kids.
build this? Yeah.
I think that's kind of with all of our work. Like if you look at our short Grummy or anything else we've done, we find a way of getting people to care about the characters very quickly within a small amount of time frame. I mean, Grummy's 10 minutes. This is under 18. And I think that that's what we really have showcased with all of our work is that consistency. And it's going to be exciting to actually do a feature film where we get to expand upon the space and the characters in a way we haven't had a chance to do yet.
I think that also that was an interesting challenge for VHS because we're huge fans of the franchise. So when they reached out to us, we were over the moon, and it was also Halloween, and we're just
Like,
Halloween fanatics.
honestly.
So the thing was, is like we watched every VHS segment, and they all follow kind of most of them follow a familiar path of like introduce some annoying college kids, you don't like them, and you want to see them die, and then we give you that,
Which is
you
really
know.
fun for all those
It's
segments.
fun for all those segments. We're like, well, what if we did something a little different? What if we actually did like the kind of like, we wanted to do a Clark Griswold kind of
Mhm.
situation. So like
Yeah.
National Lampoons was actually like we wanted to make National Lampoon's Halloween break, right? That was like they never did that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what we wanted to do. We want to have this kind of like, family dynamic that doesn't quite function well because that was new for VHS. I think we're the only one that really has that kind of dynamic, and I think that people are responding well to it.
And they were super encouraging with us having that storyline with the father and son. And they actually asked for like more expansion and more things and like little moments that happen later on when stuff gets kind of batshit that they were really excited that we did and I think that that was really cool that they were down for us to have that dynamic be in the
And
story.
the balancing the character progression when everyone just wants from VHS what we try to get at the end. You can't really slow down and give you like these really big character beats because everyone wants to be there. So we try to find subtle ways of doing it. The son is now sticking up for his dad, or he's no longer calling him Keith, he's calling him Dad in the maze at the
Yeah.
end. So if you like pay attention, there is actual like character progression as they're trying to survive together. It's just we really have to stay focused on what people want there, and that's like carnage and the
Well,
chaos,
also
insanity. Yeah,
they're trying to not die.
yeah. Also, they're trying to not die.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, being drawn to this franchise, like getting the call. Is making a VHS segment something that like you've always dreamed of? Is it just something that like popped onto your plate and you're like, absolutely, like kind of where did it fall in that
I,
spectrum?
I would say that I have always wanted to do a
yeah,
VHS segment because there's so many incredible filmmakers. David Bruckner, who's a friend of ours, is one of the best filmmakers working. Radio Silence, Scott Derrickson, Johannes Roberts. I mean, there's just so many.
Ty West,
Ty West.
Katie Siegel.
Yeah, there's so many great filmmakers who have been involved in this that it kind of like there's a lot of weight to doing one. It's like
Yeah.
you don't want to be the bad one in that legacy. So we definitely felt that on our shoulders, and we were also kind of we were the one of the wild cards, kind of one of the underdogs, untested. As far as the movie, we have a lot of exciting things going on. We're making a movie with James Wan, and we're doing all these different things, but no one really knew what to expect from us with this. And but what they do expect from VHS is really talented filmmakers delivering something wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of pressure for us, but we've always loved the series. I think it's one of the most vital horror series. I think it's one that's always constantly pushing.
And I think the thing that also is really important for any filmmaker is like if you get an opportunity to play in this VHS sandbox, that is something that I'm sorry, let me just mute that.
Mhm.
That is something that gets you complete and utter freedom and creates creative freedom that you will not get with like a movie studio or a network or most places. Like you pitch your concept and they either say yes or no, depending on like, for us, we pitched like four different options and then you write it and they collaborate with you, and everything that you come up with, they're like, yes, and that's what's really great. They don't note you to death, and they really allow filmmakers to explore their creativity in a way that they might not get to other places. And I think that's what's so exciting about doing VHS.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, something that I also love about this franchise is that I get to see, exciting work from up and coming filmmakers like you guys next to established filmmakers like Alex Ross Perry. Like
Right.
it's just like back to
And
back.
Taco Plaza, I mean,
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh,
exactly. Like
being in a
like
room with
it's
him doing
That was
Brad was
intimidating when we
fun.
found out, oh, the guy who did Wreck is going to be doing on your show. Oh, great. I'm honored to share the stage with him, but we were like, okay, we got to be like really good on this one because that guy's and we love his segment. So it's.
Yeah, his segment's really cool. I would suggest if he does any interviews, find out the history of like how and why he chose what he did. It's really cool and it makes his segment so much even more impactful.
wow. Yeah. No, I really love this franchise. And I think your segment does a really good job of balancing the tone of the franchise. Like obviously there are some moments that are darker in it, and there are some moments that are funnier in it. How do you kind of go about finding this balance between the humor
I,
and the
I,
horror?
Yeah, that was actually the challenge for us because most of our stuff is like dark or bleak or emotional that we do on. So when we started this, we're like, okay, if we're going to do VHS, let's do something we weren't necessarily going to do another feature project. Let's do something that's like unflinchingly fun. And so the way we pitched it was like we want to do like early Peter Jackson directing an R-rated Goosebumps episode. We want to challenge. That's what we want to channel. So that was kind of like what we were thinking.
and when we delivered it, they're like, well, we need it to be scarier. Like
The
how,
script when they
yeah, when we delivered the script, they wanted it to be scarier. They wanted it to be more intense. And I'm like, you can't really take a home haunt and make it feel like a snuff film.
yeah.
So I was like, that's not possible. And I said, well, I guess we just got to kill some kids because
Yeah.
it's Halloween and everybody's been doing teenagers and like older people. And I guess I'm like, we have to hit the right tone because if we don't, this is going to be way more upsetting than what we were set out to do, which is that's what we were going to set out to do is make something shocking, upsetting, and like dark than we could have. But we wanted this to, again, feel like Goosebumps, but like with an R rating. So that was our choice. And that's kind of what we presented. And they were like, yeah, go kill kids. And I was like, okay. Felt
Yeah.
weird to go from like protecting children from one piece that we wrote and directed to like killing kids. That was very
One
strange
of
for
the
us.
happy accidents was kind of us following Alex Ross Perry's kid print
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's kind of a thesis antithesis moment of killing kids where it's like, the first
I
one like
was
punishes you with it, and then the
I,
second was like, no, it's all right to kill kids. See, we're having
Yeah.
fun with it.
I gotta say, like at Fantastic Fest, I was shocked by how much kid death there was. Like between
Yeah.
your movie, between Black Phone, and it's like
Oh, right.
last year there was Terrifier 3 killed
Yeah.
one kid, and everybody was like up in arms about
Up
it.
in
And
arms about
now
it.
now there's just like so much in
And look,
the
we love kids, dude. We actually love hanging out with them. We love working with them. They're like the kids on our set had so much fun
Dying,
dying.
yeah.
Like the little girl that was in the pot with the witch, the makeup department actually made extra edible fingers
So
so
she ate them.
she could eat some because she asked for them. And she was having the best time of her life. She actually cried when she had to like wrap and she was done. And all the kids, for the most part, had a blast. I know the little girl that got beheaded was having the best time. She took selfies with her decapitated head. Like, it's funny. People don't understand these kids are having a blast on set. It's not scary for them. Like, we have such a safe space. Their parents are having a great time. And it's just really just, we're making a movie. It's not real. It's just fun. And they all had fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're allowed to talk about this at this point, because I think it's public, but obviously the Rick Baker cameo
Oh
in it
yeah.
Yes.
is amazing. What was it like getting to work with him on the film?
Well, I've known Rick for since I met him, gosh, almost 20 years ago. And but we've known each other personally and professionally since 2010, a little bit before that. I worked with him on his last project before he retired. And then I became really close with him and his family. And I would go have dinner with them and, spend time with them and go to all their like Halloween events that they do at their house. It's not really like a home hunt, it's like an experience where
Mhm.
they build a diorama, like this incredible set, and then they do these incredible makeups and performances and give out full-size candy bars because of course they do. And then they've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people lined up the night of Halloween. waiting to see them and experience what they do. So that was A, how we knew Rick Baker, and B, kind of the entry point, if you want to talk about like how that kind of came
Oh
full
yeah, I mean
circle.
the whole film was inspired by Rick because every year he puts on kind of a celebration of Halloween. It's not quite a home haunt, but it's similar. He builds stages and he puts his family in makeup and they all get together and hand out full-size candy bars, and there's a line of trick-or-treaters for a mile in Toluca Lake in Burbank. And we're just visiting one time as they were doing this, and I remember one time at his house, I heard him. I was one of his daughters didn't want to do it anymore, and she was tired of it. She was like, I'm tired of being in the makeup. I'm tired of
She's just
making it look ugly
ugly and
and
scary
getting
and
sent
gross.
to work looking like a monster, or whatever. And I just thought it was really funny. And so we just kind of concept like, well, what if Rick Baker killed half the people in Burbank with his like home haunt thing? And so when we were over at his house, and I was kind of telling him about the pitch for I'm working on this thing, it might sound familiar, and he kind of just like gives you this Rick Baker look, and then his wife kind of chimed in. She's like, "Well, you got to put him in it," and I was like, "Okay, great." So that's how it happened.
That's not how he remembers it,
That's how it happened.
that's how it happens. And I think he thought he was just gonna have like a flash moment. He was really surprised about how many lines he had, and he only missed one mark one time.
Mm.
Otherwise, just nailed it, and also gave us variations. He's actually really funny and very good at acting. So I don't think there's anything Rick can't do at this point.
It was funny. He like sent us an email. He said, "Hey, I need to understand my character. Can you send me some backstory?" So he sent him like a page of backstory. He's like, "Why did you send me 10 pages? Why? What is this? I don't like." It's just funny. Rick's really funny and fun to work with. He did not like that polo shirt.
He hated his outfit.
Yeah.
Hated it. Hated it.
I thought it was so fun when like the entire crowd erupted in cheers, and I was sitting
Oh
next to
yeah.
Yes.
somebody who's not as like horror informed. He's like more of a casual fan, and he looked at me and he's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God."
Come on, dude.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm like,
it's like having John Carpenter do like
right,
a guest
yeah.
spot. It's just
I'm like,
like,
dude. But no, you've talked about this a little bit, but obviously you guys have your feature debut coming up. How do you think that, working on this segment for VHS kind of helped you prepare for that feature debut?
I think it prepared us in ways to problem solve. And it also prepared us in ways to um communicate with everybody in a way, and also like learn certain lessons that I think are gonna make us even stronger for the future. Like there's certain things you can't do with VHS, just time constraints, money constraints, and I know we're not going to be going into our feature with those same limitations, but I'm still going to treat it that same way. So with everything that I couldn't do, or like certain things like checks and balances that we couldn't facilitate, we're going to definitely facilitate that with the feature that we go into, that I think is going to make our work stronger and everything that happens smoother and easier.
Yeah, I think it was really good working with the studio before we had a chance to go and do another studio movie, because AMC and Shutter are huge, and and we really got, it was kind of like a nice entryway into that process of working with like, a bunch of executives, a bunch of producers, and kind of navigating that process. So I actually think that was one of the more interesting lesson learning kind of moments for us, was just navigating the studio system for the first time, on a smaller scale than what we're about to do. But the other thing is too, is you learn a couple things. Filmmaking, there's only two times when you're a director, and that's one of the things that really taught me this: the shot before lunch and the shot before you wrap. It's always the most important shots of the day. It's always going wrong, and those are the two times that you're a director in a film set. That's what I learned.